Well, good afternoon. My name is Judith Dutil. I am one of the founders of the Online Learning Toolkit. Also here is Melissa Whaler. She is co-founder of the Online Learning Toolkit. We both manage this project, and we are so pleased to present to you our guest presenter here today, author Karen Costa, who is presenting on why and how I use videos in my online teaching. Karen is an online educator. She's a faculty development professional, in addition to all of the author work that she does. And we're really excited about this presentation and talk at the Toolkit because this is a book that I feel like we've been waiting for a really long time. Video is such an essential part of what we do in online learning, and online learning needs these resources. We need to talk more about video creation, and what we especially appreciate about Karen's approach is something that really aligns with the philosophy that Melissa and I share about online learning of keeping things simple and keeping things sustainable and accessible. So we are really excited to hear more from you. Let's see here. That's us. I also wanted to make note, one of the things that I'm always excited about with the Online Learning Toolkit and online learning in general is the way that this helps to connect us regardless of where we are located. So really, Online Learning Toolkit and online learning allows us to connect across the globe. So we were really excited to see that we had people register from 3 continents for this presentation, and we love hearing from people who are working in online learning around the world. So thank you for registering and being here. I am going to hand the virtual microphone over to Karen Costa, who will be sharing her presentation and interacting with us today. Thank you, Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Costa. Thank you. I want to start by thanking Judith and Melissa. They are so smart and just such a pleasure to work with. So if you haven't checked out their amazing resources already, please do so. They are doing such great work in online learning, and I really want to recommend them to you. So I am going to first start and make sure everybody can see that chat tool. Can you all go ahead and click on chat in the platform and maybe take a minute to say hello and where you're from? I am going to ask you a question in a minute in the chat, and I want to make sure everybody's comfortable in there and can respond. I do like an active chat during my webinars, and I find that when I'm an attendee at webinars that chatting helps me to stay engaged. So please do, stay active in that space. Share resources. I'm sure many of you have ideas about videos that I haven't thought of. Share links, books, all that good stuff. I love it. Look, oh, I see some familiar names. So I thought about how I wanted to start today. How we start is really important, right? So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to start with a dad joke. So get ready to type your answer in the chat. What is a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? So go ahead and take your guess in the your answer in the chat. What is a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? I see Melissa. Some good guesses there. The answer is the C. The C, right? The C. Okay. So there were a couple of reasons I chose to start with a dad joke. The first is it popped into my head, and then I texted my friend Clea and said, I think I might start today's webinar with a dad joke. And she texted back in all caps, do it. And I'm a bit still a 15-year-old girl, and my friend dared me to do it, so I did it. But I also thought that it was a good reminder about one of the things we're going to talk about today, which is humanizing online learning. And telling kind of a, mildly bad joke is a simple strategy to humanize ourselves in the online learning environment. Didn't take a lot of time, didn't take a lot of effort, but it was something that maybe revealed a little bit about me, that I have a sense of humor, that I'm a little bit silly, to you as my learners. And yes, I kind of did it to be silly with a friend, but there's also some good data about humor in classrooms, online classrooms, and land-based classrooms. And nobody leaves my webinar without a book recommendation. So I have 3 for you if you want to read it more about humor. Because today, this morning, in the news of the world, I thought to myself that keeping our sense of humor is a really important strategy. So 3 books I have for you. The first is called Anatomy of an Illness by Norman Cousins. This focuses on the physical aspects of humor and how it can be protective in terms of our immune system. So a really cool book. I talk about Dr. Sarah Rose Kavanaugh all the time. We're proud to know that she's from Massachusetts. The Spark of Learning. She's got a section in here on humor. And third book, NeuroTeach, trying to get myself in the book in here, by Glenn Whitman and Ian Kelleher. So love this book, neuroscientific strategies to infuse positive emotions, including humor, into the classroom. So few books there that will help support that idea of humor in the classroom, which is one of our humanizing online learning strategies that we're going to talk about today. Okay. So I am going to pull up my slides as we speak. And while I'm doing that, I want you all to think about one word that describes your current state with videos. So today I'm going to be sharing with you why and how I use videos in my teaching. And I'm not talking about TED Talk videos. I'm not talking about, my son loves Dude Perfect videos on YouTube. I'm not talking about sharing other people's videos in our teaching. I'm talking about our own videos. So go ahead and take a minute and think about, while I'm pulling out my slides here we go. What is one word or phrase that describes your current video creation process? And if somebody wants to give me a thumbs up that says, I see your slides, Karen, I will take it. So I see, yay, okay, thanks, Judith. I see self-conscious, I see curious. What are some other words or phrases that come to mind where you are right now? Not the ideal, the real. One word or phrase that describes your current video creation process. Zoom, I love Zoom. I'm a Zoomer. Minimal, love it. Autopilot, yeah, okay. So think about wherever you are right now in this moment. My goal is to help give you one idea or strategy that can move you forward in your video creation process. That's the goal today, okay? So we'll check back in with that at the end. Seeing lots of good words and lots of sharing. Thank you all. So here's the word that I chose for today in this moment. This word might change. The word I have today is enough. I was talking to Judith and Melissa before our webinar started about all of the challenges we're facing this week in higher education. And I was reminded of something that I heard once, which is that our best is good enough. And my videos are not perfect, and I never claim that they are. They're simple. I speak from the heart. There's things that are not perfect about them. The lighting could probably be better. The audio could probably be a little bit better. I could probably, use more graphics, but they're enough. And I speak from the heart and I connect with my students, and I've been doing that for probably 14 years now. So, we've got a lot to work on in higher education. We have a lot on our plates. I think enough is a great place to start. So there's always more that we can do. I wish I had more time to make videos for my students, but I do enough, okay? So the goal here is not to add more to your plate or to try to impose some strategy upon you that doesn't work for you. Find one thing today that is enough that you can use in your videos. So I'm going to talk to you, and just a reminder, we got a 30-minute webinar today because I know we have so much going on. So I really wanted to challenge myself to stick to 30 minutes. Here are the whys that I'm going to talk about today. So I wrote a book about videos, and a funny thing happened along the way. These 4 themes emerged. So the book is, yes, about creating videos for your students, but the book is also about faculty success, about faculty-student connections, particularly in the online learning environment. The book is also about sustainable teaching and as I mentioned earlier, humanizing online learning. So if you have a minute in the chat, if you want to share, does any one of these four particularly jump out at you as something that feels like, yes, this is something we need to talk more about, or yes, this is something I want to learn more about? Faculty success, faculty-student connections, particularly in online learning, sustainable teaching, something I really rarely hear about, and humanizing online learning. These are all things that I'm going to cover today. So let's start with faculty success. I had the title Director of Student Success in a past life. And I was a student success evangelist. And I really did believe for quite some time that all of the rest of us in higher education should really sacrifice ourselves in the name of student success. And I don't think that anymore. I've evolved in that. And I now recognize that we're in this together. And that when faculty are successful, yes, it is good for students, but it is also worthy in its own right. When staff are successful, it's good for students, and it's good for our staff and for our administrators and our leaders and everyone that's working on our campuses. So one of the themes that emerged when I was talking about creating videos for my students was this focus on student success. And I don't think that's something we talk enough about. We often treat faculty success as a means to an end rather than worthy in its own right. So a few questions here to get you thinking, and feel free to respond to any of these in the chat. How does your institution define and measure faculty success? Or, does it? What is the relationship between faculty and student success? We have a lot of data in K through 12 about the relationship between teacher success, teacher self-efficacy, and student success. We don't have as much of that data in higher education. And finally, something that I would love to see more research on: how can videos empower and support faculty success? So in the book, I include some data about instructor-created videos and their impact on student learning and success. To my knowledge, at this moment, I am not aware of any research that has looked at what creating videos does for faculty. And I'm very interested in the creative aspect. For me, being able to create videos for my students has really tapped into my creative energy, and that has been a big part of feeling successful as an educator. So, but we don't have a lot of research on that. So these are some points that I think we can be thinking about more. We need more research on, but faculty success is one of the whys of creating videos. So I'm going to share in the chat a link to one of my favorite pieces of research coming at you, that I looked at when I wrote the book. And it was around this topic of student-faculty connections. And the work is from Hunter Gelbach and his team. I don't know where he is. I think he's at Stanford now. Maybe he was at Johns Hopkins when I wrote the book. But I heard about him on the Hidden Brain podcast. I don't know if anybody's listened to that. And he was talking about this research called Birds of a Feather. And they did this fascinating research. It's K through 12, so we've got to extrapolate a bit. But they shared commonalities with students and teachers. So we're talking about things like, I like horror movies and I like hot dogs, right? Like really run-of-the-mill stuff, commonalities. And they shared that with one classroom. Teachers learned about what their students were interested in, and students learned what their teachers were interested in. And then they had some control groups. And what they found was that in classrooms where students and teachers learned about their common interests, the students were more likely to succeed, particularly what we might call, under-resourced learners or students from diverse backgrounds. So that ability to recognize that I've got something in common with my teacher seemed particularly important for those students and helped to improve student learning outcomes. So this is something that I think we can do in videos. I share little tidbits with myself in my videos. That is as important, if not more important, than talking about when assignments are due or how to succeed in the discussion board. I'll share little things with my students. For example, my dog is sitting right next to me right now as I run this webinar, and sometimes he'll make an appearance in my videos. And students now know that I've got a dog named Rocky, right? I'm a pet lover. So that's another one of the big whys that came out of this book, is that videos can help us to reveal a bit of ourselves to our students and build those student-faculty connections. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Let's talk about sustainable teaching. This is another one of the big whys. So in the chat, I would love to hear from educators. Do you feel like your right now is sustainable? Do you feel like at your institution there is a culture of sustainable teaching? I would love to hear some responses. What I have experienced is that faculty are extremely overwhelmed in terms of time, responsibilities, and what I would call bandwidth. Clea saying, no way, no, not sustainable teaching, right? So Judith, yeah, okay. So I think a lot of us are on the same page here. So I think one of the other things that came out of the book is that we need to be more cognizant of this. And I believe that videos are one tool for this. So I use my videos to save myself time. And because they seem to help me connect with my students and all of the other things we're talking about. But for me, creating a 5-minute video that I can reuse from term to term, talking about how to succeed in the discussion board is a really good use of my time versus countless emails over and over every term with the same questions, right? So a 5-minute video can really help us create a sustainable teaching system. So some of the questions I think we need to start asking when we're adding things to educators' plates, right? Are we taking anything away? We do not have an infinite amount of time in our days, right? We're talking a little bit about students' cognitive load and bandwidth. I haven't really seen a lot of talk about educators' cognitive load and bandwidth, but it is not an unlimited resource, right? So we've got to be aware of what we're putting on people's plates, and can less be more. I see some questions coming in. I do have 5 minutes allotted at the end, and I'm going to give you all my contact information. So keep them coming. I know Judith is watching those questions, and we'll get those answered. So the last big why, and I've got another link to share with you, is the amazing educator, Michelle Pacansky-Brock. Hopefully y'all have heard of her, and the link is at the top of the chat, just as a reminder. So she is one of our educators talking about this idea of humanizing online learning. And I get excited about humanizing online learning because I think we really need to, online learning is taking the lead there, but I think we really need to be talking about humanizing higher education. So anybody in the chat want to share if you've heard of humanizing online learning? What does that mean to you, or what is something that you do to humanize your classroom, whether it's an online classroom or a land-based classroom? So what does that mean to you to humanize the learning experience? I would love to see some responses come into the chat. So one of the ways that anecdotes, right? A story about, hopefully this doesn't happen to anybody, but, walking the dog and getting locked out of your house, right? As an example of overcoming a challenge, being a little messy, being human, being real. One of the ways that we can humanize our online classrooms is through videos and telling a story. A lot of faculty sometimes are a little uncomfortable with this and think that this means that you're revealing a lot about yourself. It doesn't have to get super personal. Follow your comfort level. Talk to your students about why you chose biology as a discipline to focus on and what you love about science, right? That's an amazing way to connect with your students. You don't have to talk about, the dog that's sitting next to you. You do not have to talk about your personal lives. Talk to them about why you love your discipline. That's one of the ways that videos can help us humanize online learning, and it's one of the big whys for me. So we've got 5 minutes, and I'm going to share my top 3 tips. So we are going to go from the why to the how here. And there are 99 tips in the book, and that number changed somewhat often as I was writing it. At one point we had 108, which I thought was pretty cool because I practiced yoga, and then we ended up settling on 99. So I had to choose 3, and I picked the 3 that I wanted to, that jumped out at me. I might pick a different 3 tomorrow, but these are my top 3. This is the how. So make a welcome video. This is like baseline. If you don't know where to start, you don't know what else to do, you feel overwhelmed, but you want to try something, start with a welcome video. We know in higher education that the first year is critical to student success. We know that the first week of any class is critical to student success, right? And I would argue that that first day or that first login for those of us who teach online is really, really important to set the tone for student learning and for students to know what to expect. So a welcome video, maybe even sent a couple days before the class starts, can do so much to help relieve some of our students' anxiety, particularly those students who are new to college and new to online learning. The easiest way to do that I found, and please, if you feel that there are other solutions you have that you think are super easy for videos, share them in the chat. For me, the easiest way is the YouTube app on your phone. Record a video, you can upload it directly from that, get that share link right from the YouTube app and post it in your course. 2 to 3 minutes welcoming students to your classroom. You cannot record directly in YouTube on your desktop anymore. You used to be able to, so there's an added layer there. I use Screencast-O-Matic. But that is, I talk about it in the book and I walk you through it step by step, but the YouTube app recording on your phone is like the simplest approach that you can do. So that is a great place to start. Start with a welcome video, put first things first. My second tip, and I know this is probably the tip that people challenge me on the most, and I'm okay with that. Don't use a script. Speak from the heart. Most of us are not professional broadcasters, and when we use a script, it's pretty obvious. Those folks who do, are news anchors who are on TV every night are reading from a script, and they are experts at making you feel like they're not, right? We aren't them. We're not professional broadcasters. Speak from the heart. I promise you it will come off so much better than trying to be perfect. You might stumble over your words. You might kind of lose track a little bit. That's okay because it's human and it's real. Your students are going to appreciate that. So that is, I really want to emphasize that. I see a lot of folks relying on a script because they're nervous. Better to, just admit to the nerves. I was nervous today. I was telling Judith, I'm excited and nervous, right? It's fine. Just keep going, speak from the heart. Your students will appreciate that and your videos will be all the, better for it. And the third tip, and I get so excited to share this because I dug myself into a hole for years. I started making videos in 2007. And for years, I would make videos with really specific details like, students, please turn in your assignment by March 17th at 3 p.m. Or I would mention, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, at my videos. As soon as I said those specific details, that video was dead. I couldn't use it again, and I had to create a new video. Keep your videos general. So for example, you can say, please read the contents of today's announcement for due dates. You can say that in the video. Or if you're sharing a link in an email with students to your video, you can put some details in the text. Keep that video somewhat generic so that you can reuse it. Now, I still have to, freshen up my videos now and again. I have one video I think I've been using now for almost 8 years that has stood the test of time. But other than that, they do need freshening up, but I try to get more than one term out of them, usually a few. That saves me time. It helps to keep my teaching sustainable. So don't get too detailed. Stay kind of general. If you need to add details, add them in the text, okay? That will make this more reasonable for you because we want to remember, videos are not about, burning yourselves out. We want to use videos in a way that is positive for us, that builds on faculty success and student success. Okay, I'm right on time, which is always cool. So yes, thank you, Melissa. The evergreen materials, yes, I don't call them that. But I like that description. I like that word. Okay, so I'm going to answer some questions in the chat as best I can in the next 5 minutes. If we don't get to your question, you can find me on Twitter at Karen Ray Costa. I'm on LinkedIn under my name, Karen Ray Costa, and my website is karencostawriter.com, and that has a contact form. So I did see some questions coming in. Judith, do you have those for me? Do you want to put them in the chat? I think I'm going to stop my, hopefully everybody got that info. I'm going to stop my slides and we can be giant heads.
Karen, one question that we've received, how do you define sustainability?
Um, I think that for me, sustainability is about being able to balance the personal and the professional, being able to be a human that has limitations without feeling like I have to go beyond any beyond those normal human limitations, which, one of them that comes to mind is that we have 24 hours in a day. Some of us are trying to do way more than is possible in the very real time constraints that we have. I've been thinking a lot lately. Our energy is not, an unlimited resource. I wish that it was, but we only have, we wake up each day with a limited amount of energy and time to work with. I really do, one day at a time is one of my mottos, and we only have that day to work with. So when we're trying to fit a week's worth of work into one day, which I think a lot of us are doing and feeling pressured to do, that is not sustainable. So realistic is a great word there. When we map out our time, can we realistically fit this in, is an important part. But I also think when you add something, you've got to subtract something else. And I'm terrible about that personally. But in general, I think we need to start talking about that at our institutions around teaching. When we're adding things to people's plates, are we also making sure that we're taking things away or providing additional support? We do not have unlimited amounts of time and energy to work with. What's the number one book you would recommend for a professor designing an online course for the first time? I have a book, Tina Stavridis, I believe is the author's name, and I believe it's got the words online teaching in it. It's got a blue cover. It's behind me. I would grab it, but then the dog would get all wired. But I would also make a plug for not only our great folks at Online Learning Toolkit, but the OLC, the Online Learning Consortium, is a great place to start. They've got tons of free resources. I was laughing with Judith before, talking about a lot of folks who are possibly going to be having to teach online in this crisis that we're going through in the world and in higher education. And I don't know how I learned to teach online. I was kind of Googling. I don't even know if there was Google back then. It was a long time ago. But one of the first resources that I used was called, at the time, the Sloan Consortium, which is now the Online Learning Consortium. So they have a ton of resources, and it was one of the first things that I used when I was learning to teach online. And social media, asking on social media is a great tool. There's lots of us following online learning on social media, following online teachers and educators on LinkedIn, and people are generally very excited to help you out. Just reading through the chat here, seeing if I missed anything.
Karen, I have a question that I feel like we hear a lot from faculty. I just am curious about your perspective on it, and that is closed captioning on videos.
Yeah, I do talk about that in the book, and we should all be working toward captioning our videos. It's some of our institutions have support to do that. It is time consuming. I'm looking forward to a future when we have better auto-generated captions and platforms that can support us with doing that more seamlessly. Many of us are sort of doing it by hand right now. It is time consuming. I have videos that are associated with the book. They all have captions on them. It didn't, it probably took me 5 minutes per 2 to 3 minute video to do that. If you have videos that are up now and they're not captioned, just make a plan to do, them as you can. And if you're making new videos, it does make sense as best you can to put captions on videos, not only for our accessibility, but, I watch TV with captions on. I think it's a good thing for modern learners in general, but certainly we should be working toward that for all of our students.
Ooh, Chloe had a really good question about when is your book available for purchase?
At last I saw, publishing's a wild world, but last I saw all of my edits are in, many rounds of edits, and writing a book, as we noted, it seems like it's been a long time coming. April 15th is what I'm seeing on Amazon. So, and you can pre-order it now. I love seeing those pre-orders come in, and I appreciate them so much. But April 15th is the big day, as far as I know. And if that changes, I'll certainly post on social. Yeah, I see Robin here has a recommendation for backwards design. I didn't get to see as much of the chat as I wanted, but hopefully y'all shared some resources with each other. And yeah, the 99 tips promo code will get you 20% off of the book on the Stylist website.
Well, I'll do a roundup of the chat discussion probably before the end of the week with collecting the links to all the resources. So that way we can all share in those resources that have been added to the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you everybody so much for coming. Thank you for supporting the book and for supporting online teaching and creating videos for your students. And thank you to the Online Learning Toolkit team for hosting me.
Thank you for being here. I of course have to just share one last time how you can connect with us. We're on social media, and if you have any follow-up questions, you can always contact us at info@onlinelearningtoolkit.com. And then we also, Karen shared her contact information with us as well. If you did not catch that, I'll include it in the email roundup, and I will also it'll be accessible on the replay, which you will all have access to as soon as we're finished here. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing with us. We're excited for your book.
Oh, thank you all so much. I'm excited and nervous too. So everybody's support means the world to me. Please do reach out if you have any questions after the webinar.
Thank you.